All right, folks, a couple seconds late to that break, but we are back in action. It's game number 1, and this is a best of 5 for the Olimoleague. Some folks celebrating earlier about our recent, I guess, goal achieved. Well, I say ours, but it's really Olimoleague's because the Olimoleague Patreon, I guess, hit a new tier, which is pretty cool to see. So
nice.
Good job keeping this tournament alive, guys. But kicking off in the top right side of the map, we got the blue Terran player. He sent an SV out very early. It is going to be ByuN.
In the bottom left is the red Protoss. He is Billowy.
Now, ByuN did this tactic earlier. We talked about the Reaper. It's supposed to get 4 probe kills, and it did get 4 probe kills just in a very awkward and non-sequential way.
Yeah,
but
right.
This probe barely doesn't scout it. Like, I really want to point out, look at that grid, guys. I'm going to flash this. Sorry if you got epilepsy, but look how close that was to being scouted. This positioning is, like, exactly perfect.
Well, the good news is you didn't scout the barracks and you couldn't kill the SCV. You at least scout that there is a proxy barracks by scouting ByuN's main. You also see the follow-up is going to be double gas, which is the much more common version of it. So Billowy might decide to still throw down a Nexus. Okay, but he's going to go for the Cybernetics core. It is definitely the safer way to play. And again, if you throw down that Nexus just kind of willy-nilly, considering that you're just going to lose probes anyway, you could get the bunker.
Well, that's the thing. I think he's still going to get the bunker anyway. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. It's more the fact that he didn't actually start that Zealot that makes him allows him to get the bunker.
It sounds a little bit like an STD. Like, you got a bad case of the clap. You got a bad case of the bunker.
See, I was thinking more like the boulder, but okay, yeah.
The boulder will go where it pleases.
Yeah, so this is a bit of a problem. The Nexus obviously being down is like, a reason to throw the bunker down, but the Zealot not being out is the reason that the bunker finishes, so it's a problem.
So, by the way, we just got a donation that is a week and a half delayed. I know this got delayed on the day he made it. He's probably not even here right now, but CK Walsh, thank you for the $5. Says, who do we want? When do we want it? Meow. Also not the worst production. You didn't mute Zeph, Kappa. Well, Zeph's not here today, so it's pretty hard to mute.
You muted her in real life.
Yeah, I muted her right out of the cast. Now, this does follow up with a Cyclone, and things do look a little bit reminiscent. If you guys remember, ByuN didn't get to do the bunker last time, though, because it was canceled and pushed back. However, still ended up winning the game. The one Marine actually provides a considerable amount of damage, and that Pylon, although it does finish, is already half dead. So the overcharge, I don't think will reach the back of the bunker. I really want to point out the precision with ByuN.
Oh, no.
He's not, like, throwing down random bunkers. He's not throwing down random barracks. This is all very precise.
He was so close to maybe saving that bunker. If he had saved or started the repair a little bit earlier with the SCV, I think he would have saved it.
Yeah, I actually think so too, but oh my god, that Stalker's going to get away with 2 health. That's really frustrating because for ByuN, if he had the Reaper still alive, he would have been able to chase that down. These 2 Marines, a little bit too slow. That being said, an almost dead Stalker's not going to do too well against the Cyclone that's going to follow this up. It starts heading out across the map. Oh, another pylon wasn't placed down yet either, so there's not going to be an overcharge. There we go.
Yeah, he's thinking about it right now, and he would have had to wait for 50 energy anyways, I suppose, which has been available for some time, but that might just be a well-timed pylon. 1 Cyclone is not too scary. Actually, you can pull the probe still. Spike row by Billowy trying to KO these Marines, finally gets him.
Yeah, ByuN actually getting a little bit even awkward with that Cyclone. It's a little unfortunate there. He didn't get more done with that. But he pulls the barracks back home. He's going for the command center. And I don't know. Last time this didn't work out, and it still ended up working out. You know what I mean? So this is hardly over. And these 2 Cyclones get in. Stalker goes down really quick. Second one to follow suit. And once he's feeling a little bit too scared, he can always pull back and repair.
I would say that, well, the last time you got to consider he killed 4 probes, and then he killed an Adept and 2 Zealots, and had the Mothership 4 recall, because the last Protoss, whoever it was, tried to counterattack. Billowy didn't try any of that, although that was kind of awkward. Like I said, it's worth putting the pylon down there. So is it a success or not? Is it good enough or not? I mean, ByuN's good enough in general to come from any position, even a bad one. But I'd say Billowy's in a good position.
Hey, you remember the Bleach stats, right?
No, I didn't remember.
Okay, well, I got you. What stats?
Okay. Thanks.
Well, actually, in fairness, he did play a lot of protests. We only cast him versus stats. I would have liked to have seen how that Zest series went, actually, because Zest went 2-1, whereas everybody else pretty much got 2-0'd.
We'll never know. Ever.
Oh my god, I just realized me saying it like that would be like you trying to describe somebody as not being young. They're 2-0'd.
Oh, because I don't pronounce the L's?
Yeah.
No, it'd have to be pretty bad. I'd have to have a much thicker accent, I think.
Okay, well, Liberator's going to set up over here, and a couple of probes going to get picked off, but it looks like the Stalker's already ready to respond. Shout out again to Billowy for not having frosted tips. The glare makes it harder to target them down. Those shiny bald heads.
Glare? You don't get glare! Okay, whatever.
Like, this is not a point worth arguing.
Oh, it's a frosted tip point. It's useless.
This is not a frosted tip.
Okay, robotic space coming down, so Colossus is the way to go. It's gone from being like 25% of Protoss did this to 50% to 75% to almost every single game seemingly being about Colossus and 2-base with Protoss. It's really gone back to Heart of the Swarm, which I'm not quite upset with yet, but to be honest, I really did like mass adepts and stalker usage and fast expand so much better. I thought it was such a better dynamic way to play Protoss than 2-basing. Yeah, it's great for me personally because I can just turtle on 2 bases and like win a couple of ladder games, but it's not great to watch.
I mean, I'm all about that battle cruiser life personally, but well, I feel like, did Billowy change his skins between games, or did we just never see any of these units? Like Black Zealots, the Dark Colossus. Like, I'm having a moment here where I'm like, did he just not make any of these units, I guess? And I mean, the Colossus, sure, but never having made a Zealot before.
He definitely made Zealots. And I don't recall if they were this skin or not, so I can't help you.
Well, not important. The thing about these Colossus, though, they're going to find a hard time fighting against ByuN. Because ByuN's already shown us a couple of ways where he's done crazy micro things, right? Whether you've seen the highlight clips on Reddit where he has 2 Marines killing a Colossus with micro, or whether he's doing what he did previously versus stats, and he just has like the better army and the better positioning. He's a guy who knows how to handle these units. This is not at all a part of the matchup he's confused about.
This is a very, very strong push on Overgrowth, and it's one that is usually dealt with best by not letting it get into position. So meeting them, exactly what Billy was doing. So the Stalkers, of course, are going forward, trying to get whatever little snipes they can, and then the rest of the army will eventually meet them before the tanks can get sieged up, ideally.
Yeah, this positioning right here is one that Billowy does not want ByuN to be able to get into. He knows that too, so that's why he gets out aggressively. The tanks do siege up, but they're unfortunately wasting shots on Zealots and the Immortal Barrier initially, so these tanks are not that impressive. ByuN's army gets crushed, and this is a really bad fight for ByuN.
I really thought he was focus firing with his tanks. Like, I saw them look at the Stalkers, and then they were like, no. The Immortal, that'll be the good target. Yeah,
the barriered Immortal inside the Guardian Shield. Like, it could not have been a worse target to shoot. But this was great for Billowy. However, I do want to point out, it's not like ByuN's army disappeared off this. He still has a decent supply behind it. His 3rd base is going to be finishing up shortly, and he's already started that Viking production. I think it sucks because you're not going to see a Terran player really replace those tanks this late in the game. So it kind of sucks losing out on those. I think they bring a lot of extra tactical elements, so to speak, with the way they can set up in the positioning here.
Yeah. Well, they certainly are supposed to last longer, if nothing else. Like, sure, the tanks die eventually, and that, it sucks, it happens, but it didn't last very long. And,
I really wish there was a better way to incorporate tanks into the army, too. They are, I guess...
Maybe if they could fly.
Oh, you!
Ow!
Actually, I'm pretty convinced that, like, I know Blizzard, because we heard this out of their mouths first at the summit, right? Their goal with a lot of the changes was they wanted to make mech a more viable option versus Protoss, but it's kind of proven not to be the case, except for like early all-ins with Cyclones and stuff. But I really think that if they made landed Vikings be able to be produced from the factory, like, that could actually change so much up about this matchup.
I don't have a strong opinion on that. All I know is that
with their damage, 20 a shot, man. Like, okay, they can't fly, but they gotta like to get the starport or something. I don't know.
I still feel like the problem is just like, well, is it about having a mech composition or is it about having a couple of strong units? And then you would just like He'd still build tanks, right? And then still make bio. So
that's true. That's actually true. I was thinking more because like armored Vikings on the ground. Obviously they push back stalkers, but they wouldn't die to adepts as quick as Marines and stuff do. So protecting the tanks would be easier.
Perhaps. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting idea, but it's just like I really don't think that.
Actually,
okay, so I'm on the side of mech doesn't have to work, so I don't even want them to continue pushing it.
No, I want it to happen because I'm thinking about this one step further, right? Like you can't even make Hellbats to guard the tanks because A, they're not good against adepts, and B, they're still light units. So maybe instead of giving Terran a Liberator, they should have just brought back the Goliath, man.
I don't know.
I mean, Liberators are probably causing the most stress for balance designers in this matchup right now, right?
Yeah, it was stress for anyone, really. I really like what ByuN did here. He did hide the Vikings. There was an observer looking at the army where it usually was, but not all the way off to the right. So Billowy doesn't quite know how many Vikings are available. He's got a... Well, you know what? He might think there's Liberators on Vikings.
Well, here's the thing, though, right? I think if you see this many Vikings banking up, you end up rushing out Storm way faster than this. Because Storm is like the best way to annihilate Vikings. Unfortunately, the Templar Archives finishes a bit late, so right now his best option might only be to go for Archons out of these High Templar.
Which is not a bad option. Like, even after hiding the Vikings, I still think that Billowy has a good army. It's 17 Stalkers, 2 Archons, almost 3. He is caught with only half his army, though.
And the Colossus goes down pretty quick. The Vikings going to kite around the others. If the ground army just kites forever, the Vikings have got a great pivot point above the kitchen.
That's right, it's a kitchen. Exactly.
Yeah, literally
that point is so great. But he gets pushed back, and he's going to lose a ton of Vikings without being able to abuse that.
You know, he traded out for, what, 7 Vikings, 2 Colossus? I mean, it's not a great trade, but it's also not the worst we've ever seen when it comes to trying to deal with Colossus. However, the concern is, like, as he falls back home, what's he falling back to? Liberators are finally coming out, but they're not here just yet. Oh, nice shot with the Widowmine.
Oh, now he knows his observer. Oh. Ghosts are on the way, Liberators. We are truly getting to late stages of PvT, despite what looked to be a game-ending attack one way or the other. ByuN will need a 4th base, though, if that's the plan. You can't really afford Ghost, Liberators, and Vikings, and Bio on 3 bases. It's taking a 4th as command center now. Oh, no.
Widowmine gets another pretty nice shot off. Just by the way, guys, if you disagree with my riff logic of ideas, that's totally fine, and lucky for you, I have nothing to do with the balanced design of Blizzard. But I would like to just kind of put some people in their places here. I know it's nice to shit on casters and all that, and you know, you're never going to stop people from doing shitty things, but I just want to emphasize here, not Gold League. And I'm not sure why everyone just assumes that's the case either. Haven't been Gold League ever in my career. So, thank you for the lovely comments, but letting you know it's just wrong and unappreciated.
Didn't you once attempt to place bronze?
I tried it, I couldn't. Even just joining and leaving games resulted in, like, silver.
You must have gone through gold at some point.
Oh, that's actually true. Okay. This Liberator fight's actually not so great. The Stalkers take them out pretty quickly, but the Vikings do clean up the Colossus. The Stalkers are busy focused on one thing, so the Vikings get to do the other. Now the Marines manage to steam on top of this, and Marauders are pretty freaking good. Templar going down. No chance for Storms out of them. Archon's still alive, sure, but the Immortal also fell, and this army suddenly looks so bad. Billowy had such a good-looking army just 20 seconds ago.
Yeah. It's ByuN, I suppose, and he wins games, yes, but I really thought that Billowy had a decent shot there. He's like an overwhelming fight, but didn't actually kill the bio as quickly as he would have wanted with all of his flash. Now the Archons are really going to be useless as long as his EMPs are okay. Okay, that one missed.
Yeah, that wasn't so great. But the Storms land, and this is where the bio's got to start falling back. Charge Lot's also on that front line, going to be able to soak up a lot of damage and deal a couple of damage worth of swipes. But this Liberator is like so lone and almost dead. There's still anti-air for it. ByuN might be better off just collecting his forces, hell, even maybe repairing, but he definitely needs to heal up this bio.
He still has a decent number of medevacs, and he even produced a couple of ghosts that have been rallied forward. So the potential good EMPs that would end the game with this army are still possible. It's like a Viking gets shoos away the War Prism. Oh, and kills it.
Meanwhile, kills a couple of probes set up with this Liberator. It's a good way to deny mining for the time being. ByuN's upgrades finally catching up. He hasn't been matched 2-2 with his opponent until just now. That's a nice EMP.
Still need to get the Archons with charge lots.
Yeah, and another problem with this too is this Colossus started getting rebuilt while this went on, so the Viking count's actually not adequate at the current numbers. That being said, as the medevacs start going around the army, I don't know if Billowy's feeling confident enough to push into ByuN. He knows there's going to be turrets, possibly Widow Mines, definitely Liberators. But will he know that the army's been picked up? I mean, this is a lot of bio that's not ready to fight. The command center's lifted. He just pulls away. He's going to evacuate the base, but this also leaves Billowy undefended. There's one Archon, a couple Zealots. There's nothing down here. If ByuN gets to one of these bases, he'll get a lot of kills.
I think he'll be kind of pleased to see that there's not a 5th base, even though that would have been a free snipe at this point. Like, at least he wasn't mining extremely well. While, of course, ByuN was having trouble, and now even more trouble, as his main base was already lifted off. Lifted again. But there goes that 3rd base, and Billowy did still need this. His Bane of Natural also mined out.
Ooh, big recall. Really big recall. But this also puts the army out of position, so ByuN can push with his main forces instead of running back. Reset up this base, lands the command center, and transfers the SCVs over.
It's good. Does he have an army to match Billowy's now, though? Billowy is 30 army supply ahead. Equal upgrades. EMPs could change things. Vikings getting free Colossus snipes could change things. Not so free, though.
No. Vikings are going to take down this Colossus, though. Actually, they end up eating a couple of extra hits there that I don't think he wanted them to. Waste some shots on the mothership core. Now the Vikings are gone, and ByuN suddenly in a lot of trouble on that recoil. The Stalkers, the Zealots, these are things he could deal with if the Archons or the Colossus weren't there, but he's got both to deal with, and it's proving to be maybe just a little too much. Colossus might finally go down. Vikings, please.
The Vikings weren't targeting. That was actually a huge mistake right there. And the EMPs weren't enough of a blanket.
Billowy, with a bit of shock and awe, takes game number 1 in the finals.
Well, certainly I think he had a good early game. He deflected ByuN's pressure very well. And despite ByuN's amazing macro and follow-up and decision-making, it wasn't enough. That was a good composition to have.
Absolutely. Well, it is the finals, guys. So we're going to squeeze in a couple more breaks here. And we'll see you for game number 2 in just a moment. All right, folks, welcome back. We are getting into game number 2. And rather than cut to our faces for all but a brief second, we've just gone directly to the game screen. So you can see us loading in. It's so cute that ByuN's using his portrait, by the way. Although I'm a little bit sad because he was using the Hell It's a Boot time portrait for the longest time. Like, feeling a little bit smug about showing that off to his friends, too. But oops. He is, of course, not up 1. He's actually down 1 in the series. He's going to be one of the best players in the world right now. Spawning the top right, it's ByuN.
In the top left is the red Protoss. He is Billowy.
Billowy has been... Oh, no, is this me? What's going on here?
Well, it's not me.
Oh, it's Alicia.
Haha.
I think Crank's the one streaming, though, so I don't know if those will require a restart.
I don't think it will.
He sucks. All right, well, what was I gonna say? Oh, right. So for Billowy, this is a guy we've talked about it, right? He has rather inconsistent performances. Like I think he has it in him to do what he just did. And any given day, I feel like Billowy always has the potential to beat any player at StarCraft 2. But whether he can or can't has really been wobbly. Like, we've seen him take really amazing games. We've seen him even do this off server, but I don't know. Today he's just, I don't know. The stars are aligning. He's being consistent. He's getting good games. And he took that first one off of ByuN. When it looked like, honestly, ByuN was going to be the one who won that game pretty convincingly at a lot of different steps.
Yeah, well, yeah, ByuN, like, in the mid to late game, so it went on pretty long, like, looked strong after that one engagement in the middle, too. But Billowy had the better composition at the end. I think when a Terran player doesn't get a 4th base and starts trying to forward ghosts, that's usually a bad sign. Much less the fact they had to forward ghosts, Liberators, and Vikings, which was all quite expensive.
Well, ByuN, by the way, I guess to remind everybody, did start that game with a proxy. This time around, he goes command center first, so
right.
A little bit on the greed for the fact that this is Whirlwind. I don't blame him.
Oh, his last Whirlwind game with the exact same build went so well, so easy. It doesn't really surprise me he chooses it here.
Oh, right. The
Otherwise,
darks, yeah.
Yeah, otherwise maybe I'd be a little surprised, but War 1's always been decent. You know, you have there's large space, so yeah, you can go for command center first, but even when it comes to the mid game, there's a kind of a difficult third base to take. It's a little far away for the Protoss player, plus some dead space that is usable for drops. It can be a difficult map for Protoss. You can see why ByuN chooses it. Plus, this build was pretty sick. He does have a different follow-up this time, though. We're gonna run the Rosie.
Sorry, I'm actually getting kind of amazed by this. I'm looking at the sparks that were coming out of this as it's building. And honestly, this is the first time today I've noticed something out of that 144 hertz monitor. These sparks look really cool, really smooth.
Okay, then.
I know, sorry, not super important, guys, but I'm still getting used to this monitor. It's cool. It's nice.
Well, Billowy did a very important scout right there, I would say. He was able to scout that there is a gas down already and not a third barracks. So that is a different follow-up than the last CC first.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Because for ByuN, those pushes come at such a... I hesitate to say like abrupt, but like sudden timing, right? Like you're just like, oh, shoot, now he's attacking. He does still go for a third barracks, but the fact that he put the gas on, okay, this might mean faster stim and not necessarily faster medevacs.
Right. Huh.
Yeah, still no factory. So I guess all that gas going to go towards that first stim. Got 10 to go.
Well, the Twilight Council's on the way for Billowy. See if he gets... I mean, probably just blink right off the bat. We're gonna wait and see what happens. I don't know.
I think this is gonna be really interesting actually, because if Stim's done that much sooner, like the power for ByuN's push didn't come from the fact that he had Stim. It came from the fact that he had Stim, combat shields, and +1, right? So if he's planning to just go in with Stim, his units are going to be noticeably weaker, but he'll find Billowy with less units at the time. So I don't know how this will work out. I feel like Overcharge should still be good enough.
It's questionable. We'll see. There was a point where he could have hits with Stim, but not combat shields in that last roll-in game, and maybe that'll be different here. But right, he'll have like slightly fewer units. I'm interested to see what this exactly will look like. I doubt that he'll get the same easy peasy win, even if he was going for the exact same build, just because Stats really did make a mistake getting out of position for even just half a second. Yeah, Billowy seems pretty on point. Considering that last game was a lot about army positioning and keeping your head on straight type deal, I think that's Billowy wouldn't lose like Stats did. But that's giving Billowy a lot of credit. It was only one game, and he still is, as we keep talking about, kind of an inconsistent player.
I mean, a lot of his inconsistency too. This isn't just like us like being biased from watching a couple games, but you look at his history, like he's been on every Kespa team at some point, and then what we're gonna presume is kicked off or left. Like, there's just a lot of like for Billowy, inconsistency. I think it's synonymous with him. That's not a bad thing though, because again, like he's got it in him to take some really good games. If he can find a way to like, I don't know, sharpen his skills and hone that consistency down a bit, I think he would be like an absolute huge contender for 2017.
Mm-hmm. Of which we are in.
Plus, apparently Zest has evacuated his seat as God of Protoss, so there's an opening.
Stats would probably take that opening over Billowy. But who got farther in the Olimoleague, am I right, guys?
Right? This is where we start like referencing Nathanias from like first Olimoleague.
When he was playing a Nation Wars, they had like the career earnings, right?
Mm-hmm. And
trying to figure out where the money came from, and like $100 from a show match, but then I guess he got $5 or $10 from placing fourth in the Olimoleague.
Well, fourth is technically still third, by the way. I'm just saying.
One sounds much worse.
Yeah. It's diamond versus platinum, you know?
It's diamond 3 versus diamond 1.
Actually, that's probably a better way to phrase it. Although diamond 3 just sounds like you have more diamonds, so wouldn't that one be better? I don't know. Stalkers try to push up the ramp, but they're walking into a lot of Marines, and I mean considerably a lot of Marines. They got Stim. That's going to be a little bit of a surprise. Of course, he had just blinked, so it's on cooldown. ByuN knows this, and that's why he pounces, but this kind of sucks because that Stim, how many Marines is this? 34 Marines, all stimming for like 10? That's 340 damage? Ouch.
Wow. That math. Amazing.
Right?
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't really fond of the Stim, as I think Blink is a relatively low cooldown timer, so maybe he gets one Stalker, and that have really been worth all that damage, because it's only 2 medevacs? Maybe. It is kind of it's a very small thing to talk about. It's, of course, more important are these timings and the upgrades, +1 resonating glaives, the amount of adepts that are available. Can ByuN actually do anything with these units?
Well, speaking of that, combat shields is finished up. He's got +1 on his side too, so he's still. I feel like Marines and their stim, the ability to micro with these medevacs should still be better for ByuN, but their armies are a lot closer than it looked ever before when we saw them fight against stats. So I think ByuN pulling back from this isn't too surprising.
If he had 4 or even 6 medevacs, maybe 6 around a little bit longer, but with only 2 and that many units being stimmed already, it was always going to be a little bit questionable. 2 more join the fray, but he follows it up with Liberators, probably for harassment, as opposed to taking any type of positional advantage. But ByuN's about to have another upgrade lead with +1. If Billowy actually tries to engage and ByuN just buys time, or engages now and target fires the sentries.
Yeah, Guardian Shield backs away from this. Widowmine's just walking to that front line as well. The Marauder and Marine count has fallen down significantly, but the Widowmine gets a great shot there at the last second. Stalkers are forced to blink away. And ByuN's army is better, but not dominating. Like, he's not quite able to finish the game with this. Meanwhile, we got an adept transfer. There's nothing inside that bunker, so nothing to keep these out. ByuN's got to run back home.
He does have a good number of reinforcements, but this does really kill his momentum he just gathered from taking that fight. Again, if Billowy was overconfident and had chased, and he had +1 armor as well, ByuN probably would have taken like a game-ending fight, maybe. In fact, Billowy's still being way too bold. Like, I don't know why he's doing this. This army is not something he'll beat, especially with Widowmines and Liberators. With it, I was wondering where this army was gonna go, and it's trying to pick the 3rd base, I guess. I'm
trying to contemplate what I'm assuming is copy paste to Hard Revenge. Just put chat. My brain hurts. My brain hurts so much reading that. Not focusing on the Warp Prism. 2 Widowmines do come in from the backside, but this looks like a fight that ByuN's still going to take. The bunker goes down. The Widowmine goes off. Everything ties, and Billowy GG's out of the game. ByuN ties it up 1-1. Also, we had a massive resub that we missed earlier. I gotta give some shout outs to my man Tempo. 37 months. Says Ace Tempog, I think this is the longest relationship I've ever been in. Happy 37-year anniversary, boo-boo. I love you, Tempo. Don't ever change, bro.
Whoa, that's a long time. You're about middle-aged now.
Right? About perfect time to get a new wardrobe, a new hairdo, and some new shoes.
Cocoa boots and oh, God.
You know what makes me sad? If there's like one guy in esports who could pull off go-go boots, it might just be Tempo.
I don't know about that.
You're like, that's getting a little too generous. Anyways, next map is going to be on Ekko. I'm just going to join off this, and we'll hold the ad break for a little bit later. And of course, for those who don't know, it is loser's pick, so Billowy got to select, but it is only 5 maps available in the map pool, not the full map pool, so I don't remember which ones are axed, but it is a little bit limited. I think there's no Newkirk. I know there's that much.
And Vani? Maybe?
How does it feel compromising your core values, by the way?
Feels like money.
Feels like money. So I got a question. Did they actually sit you down and talk to you about that, or is that just a decision you made on your own? No. You're like, I'll just try and conform for this. Why not?
Yeah, I just said I'd try and conform, because when I said it on like the very first casts, they kind of like were like, "Oh, you usually say it that way," and I was like, "Yeah, that's the cooler way to say it. It's completely incorrect, but it's cool." And they just laughed, but.
I can see the peer pressure getting to you. I won't even blame you. No, I was actually curious about that, because I know that it's not like, oh my god, we made a deal, we say it this way, like, but it was something where I was like, oh, she's changing the way she said it. I'm curious if they actually told her to or not, right? But until the next map rolls around that we can have that fun little dynamic with, I guess. We are in game number 3. In the bottom right side of the map, it was his map selection to go to Ekko. We have the blue Protoss, Billowy.
In the top left is the Red Terran. He is ByuN.
Now, I had forgotten, silly Rifkin, that ByuN may have lost the first game in the series, but he usually does that, right? Takes a bit of a dive so the comeback for the win looks even better. And as much as I do want to make that joke and continue down that path, I will say Billowy looked good in that last game. He looked better than Stats did, at least when we saw it play against ByuN. And I mean, this is a tough. Like ByuN is the guy we're expecting to win. He goes for the proxy, by the way, again. But ByuN's the guy we're expecting to win in the series. So for me, all eyes are on Billowy. Like, how does Billowy play? What does he do? How does he react? Etc.
Yeah, it is. I do think the game looked better also because he did a different style of Protoss. So it's always going to look a little bit different. But that's last-ditch efforts to attack across the map really felt quite desperate. Like, Billowy just realized he wasn't going to win in the long game anyway, so just try when you can. But it made it look kind of, questionable and bad. At the Proxy Reaper.
Oh, he's looking for
Proxy
it, but
Reaper.
he unfortunately looks the wrong way. Now, this isn't such a big deal because, of course, with that other probe scouted, there was nothing at home. Lack of information is plenty of information. So, back at home, fortunately, not a lot he can do till that Cyber Core's out. Bunker comes down to the natural.
See, this is really annoying because that game on Overgrowth, at least he had the option of getting the Nexus started, which you cannot out DPS with a single Reaper. And now it's going to be a little bit later.
He also cancels the bunker. He's not even going to go through with it.
Yeah, that is a little bit confusing. But the point is, Billowy doesn't get his Nexus down.
I think this is the reinforcement path, and the pylon means he couldn't do what he did before. I mean, I want to point out what I said on Overgrowth. Like, there were some very precise ways he was handling things, and I guess this was just not quite in his comfort zone. I like trying to predict where that probe was going to go, by the way, with that grenade. That was cool.
He could go back in there and snipe the probe, considering that, only 50 energy. Doesn't have it anymore, but Billowy will get the Nexus down. Only a little bit delayed. Not too much. And this Reaper didn't exactly do what it wanted. Wanted the bunker.
Not yet, but again, ByuN last time also was able to delay this and get the extra 2 or 3 kills later, so maybe that's what he'll get with this Reaper here. But as the barracks comes back home and the Cyclone starts up, Command Center's finally going to go down at some point, but not anytime soon. He wants to get that Liberator across the map, and that second Cyclone for some damage.
It has the potential, especially because the pylon could be sniped. Oh, never mind, no. It's already 50 energy. Just kidding. Cyclone with no chance. Yeah, I don't think there's any way that they're going to do continued damage up a ramp against a pylon, but this will add up later.
Hey, so I got a question for chat. As someone says, like, as long as Zombie Grub gets to say topsy-turvy, it's all good. That's one of those phrases that's kind of like honky-dory, I feel. And I learned recently, not recently, I learned a while ago, but I've had this revisited recently, where, like, a lot of Europeans apparently don't know what honky-dory means. It's just, like, not a phrase.
It is pretty southern,
Yeah, so my question is, if I were to just say, generally speaking, everything's honky-dory, do you guys think that means everything is good or everything is bad?
Yeah, I think some context can be clued in here.
Zombie Grub, when I'm casting with you, everything is honky-dory.
Thanks. You say it kind of weird, though.
How do you say it?
Honky-dory. You say it like
white people
proper or some shit. Like
it's like white people. What's up, honky-dory? How you doing over there?
Oh, do you know, actually, I won't continue along this conversation.
I'm better than this.
Yes, quite. I was going to ask you if you know what grits are, which just makes me sound more and more like a...
In Texas, we had this conversation, actually. I did not know what grits were, and you showed me, and I was like, this, ugh.
Those were not grits. Those were very mediocre.
Those are like porridge.
Yeah, it was not great. Anyway, but honky-dory is, like, really quite southern. Topsy-turvy is, like, that's not individual to me, though. I'm pretty sure.
I think you just wanted to hear you say it.
Oh, okay, I just like saying it. That's fine. I do sometimes say Slippy, though.
Slippy, like the frog from Star Fox?
I didn't realize that was his name. I never played Star Fox. No, Slippy, like, that's what, like, people in, like, Pittsburgh say instead of slippery.
Oh, you know what, actually? Maynard brought this up while I was casting with Zeph. What do you think lucked out means?
Yo, we had this conversation at BlizzCon! And I brought it up with you, and you were like, I wasn't there, so I had to explain it to you.
For the stream's sake, Zombie Grub, what do you think lucked
out
means?
In most parts of the world, including America, and to me, means that they got lucky.
Yes.
Yes, they lucked out at the casino and won thousands of dollars. I just remember we were talking about it. I was talking about it with Maynard, and he was like, "Nope, that's not what it means." He was like so sure of himself. So I looked it up on my phone, and it was like
running out of luck.
American English and British English will say that it means that you got luck, and he was like, "What?" But I was only Americans.
Opposed to the opposite. Where like I love the logic of thinking about that too. Like lucked out. Like I'm all out of luck because I'm locked out. Like I'm locked out of my house.
Yeah, I could see the reasoning as to why that would be different somewhere else, but.
Oh, it looks like Panic Switch has a crush on somebody named Dory. I guess the fish from Finding Nemo, because he thinks she's pretty hunky Dory.
Hunky, a fish.
Hunky,
woman?
tomato.
I don't think you usually say like a woman is hunky.
Well, Zombie, I think you're very handsome personally, so.
Hey, I'll take that.
I
like that handsome hunky means refined features.
You're all lucked out when it comes to compliments. Okay, the attack does come inside of ByuN, though. He does not have as big of an army as we're used to seeing him have for this, but the type of army is still not bad. One tank can create some very dynamic positioning around this pivotal point. We got his Liberator set up, too, and while Colossus might be out for Billowy, the same problem that we saw out of Stats and many other Protoss is just they can't find a way to easily get underneath this. He does find the Liberators as they reposition, but the Widowmine baits in. He gets the shot. Oh. The tank kills the 4 Stalkers with the splash damage, and then the Bio starts moving in. Colossus gets focused, and that's it. That's all she wrote. Murder she wrote as ByuN kills his opponents. GG's. Jessica Fletcher. My co-caster Jessica Fletcher.
Oh, did you ever watch Dead Like Me?
Yes.
Daisy O'Dare in the way that she said her name.
Yeah, that's right.
Love it.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we've got at least one more game, maybe 2, but we're gonna go to commercial break, and we'll see you in 2 minutes. All right, folks, we're back and hopping into game number 4. If you've just joined us, you've missed a lot because we're in the finals, and it is 2-1 in the favor of the Terran player. Spawning the bottom left, actually, as I put the score on the overlay in this best of 5, leading 2-1. It is the red Terran, ByuN.
In the top right, it's the blue Protoss. He is Billowy.
So ByuN, he did a lot of things that were very reminiscent of what we saw before. I'm not sure if his strategies are map dependent or if they're player dependent or it's a combination of the two. But so far, both games look that he won, at least, looks very similar to both of the games he pulled out versus Stats. And I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing, because like you can know what ByuN's doing. He can be the most predictable player in the world, because his strength shines through his control, through his micro, on top of his macro. So it's not exactly that you're any better off knowing that he plays standard. But man, he's still a scary guy to fight against, that's for sure.
Yes. I think he proxies, he macros, he takes a lot of damage early game. Either way, ByuN is always going to be a scary guy, because the size up scenario is so much better, I suppose, than most others. So even when we're like, okay, he probably shouldn't attack up here, he does, and well, it still works out. Like last game. I think last game he had a decent army with decent positioning, but did I expect it to end the game? Not really. I thought it would do a lot of damage, and then a slow end to the game, but just to demolish his army like that?
It's funny you bring that up too, by the way, the fact that he can proxy, can cheese, and can play macro. Because, well, you've got players who I think Polt set the standard for good Terran, right? Through 2015, 2016, before he had to go to military. Polt was the guy a lot of people looked at when they thought good Terran. Not godlike Terran, that's innovation, but good Terran, right? ByuN, I think, takes it to that next level, though, where he steps above somebody like Polt, because Polt plays phenomenal macro, phenomenal standard play, and so does ByuN, but then ByuN's also willing to change it up and catch you off guard. And I think that's what I really like about him. The fact that he will throw in those proxies, that he will be scary and not afraid to get dirty, so to speak.
Well, Billowy, I'm not sure what's wrong with you, buddy. But that is not the correct amount of probes. Oh, there he goes. No, what are you doing? Why? What?
No,
Why?
on the gas. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, he's got 16 saturated. What could you possibly be criticizing?
Why? He did it. He took one off, and then he put one back in, like on a shift click.
You know what? I've done that before, so I'm just gonna say that it's a simple mistake to make because I'm a simple man.
Okay, well, the Reaper made Billowy look at his gas geysers, so he fixed it anyway. That was good.
2 probe kills to the scout, though. That's not bad.
40 seconds for 1 probe just felt completely useless.
I mean, if you look at the income graph, it didn't seem to affect him that much. Chrono boost is cool.
Well,
Mules are cooler, but...
Neither does a drone pull or a drone scout if the game's gonna go on for 7 minutes, but you know it does.
You sound like you're about to send me to my room.
Graham Blank Rogers.
You know what that does, and you know how it makes me feel. Go to your room. No supper.
Do you even have a middle name? Oh, you do!
Do you
that's right, I know.
You
don't have to have a middle name, you know?
Yeah, for those who don't know, my middle name, I guess, not shy to say, is Hiroshi. But a lot of people don't believe me because I don't look the slightest bit Japanese.
Right, yeah. I forgot which Japanese word it was, but I remembered it was Japanese.
Nice.
There you go.
I admired the first name.
Graham.
You gotta say it with a rolling R, right? Like Graham.
I cannot roll my R's. That's not gonna happen.
Well, then I guess you'll know that's how I say my name. Then from now on, that will be decided upon pronunciation. What was that sound you just made?
You sounded to roll my R's.
It sounded like you were dying a little bit on the inside. Is what that sounded like. All right, this attack ends up being pretty nice out of ByuN. Doesn't get a lot of probe kills for the slaughter, but he does push a lot of them off mining. That Widow Mine's still there. Will it go off? Barely. Nope, not even.
Oh, okay.
You know, there's some times where Widow Mines look like they shouldn't go off, and they do. And the moments like that where they totally should have detonated but didn't, I don't
know. I'm not with you, man. I knew that took like another 0.5 seconds.
I don't think another 0.5 is correct. That's got to be like 0.1.
I'll go back in this fucking replay.
I'm gonna recover from game and not shoot with the stalkers. We'll see. All right. Looks like the medevac's not done though, but with the stalkers are still here, ByuN's not gonna get a lot more done. The Liberator does wrap around from the south side. It looks like pylons will cover 2 parts of this, but I think you can still set up from up here and be out of range of both. Either way, that Liberator is going to scout the Robo, so he'll know. I mean, you kind of know already, but he knows it's going to be Colossus and not something weird.
Yeah, it's a good confirmation because that Whirlwind game was Billowy going for just gateway units, so he can do both. An Observer was sniped in the main base of ByuN, I do believe. That's why he scanned his own base. Or it was a misclick, which I've done before. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw an Observer.
Yeah. Shift L, baby. While this goes on, however, ByuN stims a little bit later to the party. I think he was hoping his harass would get a little bit more done. I mean, don't get me wrong, he got some nice damage out of this, but not exactly in a prime position to be pushing, despite having the tanks out and ready to go.
Right. Medevacs are now on the way, but Sim is, I think, too far for him to actually push. Might get another Observer, though. Get it! Get it! Get it! Get it! Get it! Get it! Okay, no. Well, I still think... Is this actually time out with Stim? Daybreak's not that long. This is a little bit dangerous. But I suppose, I guess if you know they went Colossus, then chances are their army's not wandering the middle of the map, even if they do have Blink Stalkers, because there's not that many Blink Stalkers. Well, I'll see if he gets punished for this lack of Stim or not.
Tempo says he doesn't have a middle name, by the way. I think we should give him one.
My mom doesn't have a middle name.
We should give Tempo a middle name right now. What do you think? We should call him like I think like a regular name first off. Right? Not something really weird and crazy. Like Harold.
Tempo James.
Kwame Harold Mitch or whatever his last name is.
Whatever his last name is. It's even worse than mine. Whatever your middle name is.
Oh. Chat, we need you to do us a favor and give Tempo a middle name. Give him your best suggestions. We'll see if he picks any. Liberator, by the way, was snug up here, so still sitting on the 6 probe kills from earlier. He wants to fly back in, but he sees those stalkers, so can't really sail on in. Third base not being down is actually not a great thing. Like, for ByuN, this means there's going to be more army waiting for him, and he knows that too. So as he pushes up this ramp, he's got to be a little bit careful. Tank's out of position. Oh, he scoops up the Marauders to save him, but the medevac goes down. Nice blinks out of Billowy. All those Marauders went down with it, so now it's only Marines and tanks.
Not that great right there. Definitely a mistake. I think ByuN is already being a little too aggressive, you know, even without going up the ramp. You know, you don't see a third base. You know, their army must be getting kind of big and kind of ready for this. And I just don't know if it's worth positioning his army here. Now he can't reinforce it either, where, of course, Billowy has been reinforcing because it's his side of the map. And it's just getting a lot more dangerous. He's going to just take this third base anyway, which might be uncomfortable. It might be his preferred one. Sure, I can see that, but still it looks a little bit dangerous.
This medevac is chock full of widow mines, but it's going to get caught.
Oh my god. Rip.
ByuN is making a couple of mistakes here and there, but honestly, some of this is just on the good reactions out of Billowy. Especially building on top of that one medevac, sniping off those marauders. Tanks go down now, and the Marines are stimming for their lives.
Rosie. It's true. Billowy has been playing a nice game, but I would really blame ByuN here a lot. Like,
oh, it's a kill, not a cancel. Okay, so that's a little bit more worth.
I really don't think he should have just. Well, he should have been there in the first place, and then I guess he was stuck no matter what. Well, no, he could have gotten the Marines out.
Yeah, I think he could have run north for sure.
Ah, well. Anyway, it doesn't actually seem to affect the game that much, and the third base getting killed was really nice, because ByuN has his third. He's getting his gases there, he's got a good number of SCVs, so even though he lost an army, I guess he bought enough time and in a way did enough damage to make it work. Billowy is attacking now, though, which seems pretty bold, but if you think they don't have Vikings, you think there's only Bio, then it's certainly a chance that 2 Colossus can do it, or 3 Colossus even. The scan, I guess, on the observer means that Billowy doesn't want to risk it anymore. What are you doing?
I like these suggestions.
Jennifer, what is the whitest name we can give Tempo? Jennifer.
I don't know about that, but I like Jennifer. Kwame Jennifer. No, I like the Harambe because it rhymes with Kwame almost. You can change his first name to Kwame.
Kwame
Harambe.
Bombay.
Kwame Harambe from Bombay. Okay, that was so stupid. That broke me. That actually broke me how stupid that was that I said it out loud. Feels good, man.
Hey, you know, Rifkin, you know that guy in Civilization?
Oh my god, shut up. Stop. Just stop it right now. He has no religion.
Okay, we're done. Anyway. Never to be revealed on stream.
Oh, we're bullying Tempo. I feel so bad. We love Tempo.
We can bully you. We can actually talk about what you did in Civilization.
No, oh, shut up. Shut up. No, you told me you wouldn't. Okay, whatever. I'm bad.
I actually said I would make no such promises.
I know.
It's okay. I'll keep your secret safe with me.
Hey guys, if anyone wants to give me a birthday present this year, a globe would be appreciated. That's all I'm going to say, because I don't know where things are in the universe. But okay, we do have a considerable amount of Vikings.
What's that game where you, oh, Guess Who? You need a Guess Who game.
Does he have
well, he's got like a turban, he's got like a goatee.
Is he from Egypt? Shut up. Shut up. Okay. 15 Vikings. There's 15 Vikings, several ghosts in the army. I think ByuN's composition is actually fantastic. And this army out of Billowy is not too bad either, but there's definitely lacking things to deal with the Vikings. Like, there's a lot of stalkers, but to focus fire now on 15 plus Vikings, that's going to take time.
Yeah, that's certainly true. What we saw is it's turning much more like into that overgrowth game where ByuN got one good engagement, but then couldn't afford further engagements. Now he is going to go ahead and get a 4th base that's looking much better for the long term, and this is quite scary just right now. The Vikings get kind of a free Colossus right there. I don't think any Vikings are lost. Now
no, another one goes down. That's the problem with so many Vikings. He might be trapped, but the Colossus are pretty much gone, so there's nothing to really trap him with, right? Like, oh, you got Zealots charging in a bunch of Sim Marines. Who cares? Marauders pretty much are going to tear through the rest of the stalker count. ByuN's army now 87, 93 to 56. New Vikings are not even going to matter. You can just land them if he wants to. The Marauders and Marines look to be good enough as is. We got a wall of Zealots coming in, but this is not going to save him. And ByuN is running away with his game and going to run away with the series. GG. ByuN, our Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
Can you not get caught up in the past? Look, Harambe from Bombay. Don't write it in chat. I said it was stupid enough. Don't write it in chat.
Temple's like long gone too. Someone's gonna message him this chat log. Oh no, he's there. Never mind. Oh good god.
All right, well, congratulations to ByuN, who is this week's Olimoleague champion. Good stuff. Good to see him still in shape. I was honestly impressed by Billowy, though, in these finals, despite losing. I mean, I know we should be talking about ByuN, but like if we can for a moment, we see Billowy have such wishy-washy performances. It was actually great to see him play, and even though he lost, he still played fairly well.
I agree. I was very impressed with his performance, especially in PvP.
Yeah, I certainly hope to see more of that Billowy in future events and future tournaments. But again, I know that the BaseTradeTV website's been down, guys, for a little bit of time, and a lot of you have been asking, like, can we get a new schedule? Can we get something set up? So I've been looking into different apps and different things we can use. We still don't have a public-facing schedule yet, or whatever you want to phrase it, but to talk about what's on deck for us, because we actually have a really busy couple of weeks starting up soon. I know there's been a lot of downtime, and I've been casting here and there. Zombie-Gob's been in France, but we have Ting qualifiers starting up in the near future. Our next cast isn't until Friday. We'll be doing the BTSL. That'll be episode 2. And there'll be some hopefully good games over there. But after that, we got the Ting wildcard qualifiers on Sunday. We've got the Corsair Cup on Monday, Olimoleague again on Tuesday. Like, it's going to be a lot of nonstop StarCraft. So if you're not already following the channel, make sure you hit that follow button and come back for every game of all these casts in the future. But thank you for joining us tonight. I hope you guys had a good time. We're going to go to one last commercial break and come back to say our goodbyes. We'll see you guys in a bit.